They say the Slavs left no myths, no temples, no sacred texts, just silence. Some even claim Slavic mythology is a modern invention, a fantasy patched together from fragments and forgeries. But that is not the whole truth. Part 1. The Erased Legacy. For centuries, the Slavs were Europe's silent majority, a people without an empire, without marble ruins, without books carved in stone. But that doesn't mean they had no gods. Unlike the Greeks or Romans, the Slavs preserved their faith not in temples, but in trees, rivers, and fire. Their myths were passed in whispers, through stories told around the hearth, rituals in the forest, and songs sung to the stars. Part 2. The Destruction. Then came the Crusades, the empires, the flames. Pagan idols were torn down, fire festivals banned. In the 10th century, the Christianization of the Slavs began, violently. The old gods were declared demons, the priests burned the sacred groves, and so the stories vanished, or went underground. Part 3. Lost, not invented. Does that mean Slavic mythology is fake? Number. It means it was buried. What remains today is fragmented, yes, but real. Names echo through ancient songs. Perun, the Thunderer. Veles, Lord of the Underworld. Mokosh, the Earth Mother. Traces survive in folk customs, embroidery, seasonal festivals. Even in the fairy tales told to children, ancient gods still whisper. Part 4. Modern Confusion. The lack of a written pantheon led many to doubt. Even the Veles book, a supposed ancient text, was called a hoax. But why? Because we expect mythology to be written like the Greeks? Oral traditions ruled the Slavic world. The forest was their temple, fire their scripture. Myth lived in the land itself. Part 5. The Return of the Gods. Today, the gods of the slaves are waking. Artists paint them, writers revive them. Across Poland, Ukraine, Russia, Serbia, and beyond, young people search for their mythic roots. They find Perun in the storm, Lada in the fields, and the world tree rising once more. Slavic mythology isn't gone, it's just been waiting. Part 6. The Gods Beneath the Surface. Not all gods need names carved in stone. The Slavic pantheon lived in the rhythm of nature. When thunder struck, the people saw Perun's axe. When the mists rose from rivers, it was Veles crossing into our world. Life was myth, from sowing grain to mourning the dead. The gods were present not in statues, but in breath, soil, flame. Part 7. The Triple World. Nav, Yav, Prav. The Slavs believed in 3 realms. Nav, the world of the dead and spirits. Yav, the world of the living, of men and animals. Prav, the realm of divine law, the gods, and fate. These weren't just ideas. They shaped how the Slavs lived, worshipped, and even buried their dead. The world tree stood at the center, roots in Nav, trunk in Yav, crown in Prav. Part 8. Festivals of the Forgotten. Though the gods were buried, their festivals survived. Kupala night, fire leaping, flower crowns, river rites, echoes of fertility gods. Kolyada, winter solstice, ancestor songs, burning wheels. Dozhinki, harvest offerings to spirits of the field. Christianity repainted them, but the bones are still pagan. The old gods wear new names. Part 9. The Demonization of the Divine. With Christianization, the gods became demons. Perun was transformed into Saint Elijah, riding thunder from heaven. Veles became the devil, with horns and hooves. Domovoi, once protectors of the home, became poltergeists. The myths didn't vanish. They were twisted, feared, and misunderstood. Part 10. The Whispering Forests. In the dense forests of the Slavs, stories lived longer than empires. Witches, spirits, talking animals. These weren't just fairy tales. They were fragments of myth. The Leshy guarded the trees, the Rusalka lured the reckless, the Poludnitsa punished the lazy, and children knew the forest is alive and watching. Part 11. Revival and Reconstruction. Today, Slavic mythology is being reconstructed. From archaeology and linguistics to folk songs and embroidery, clues emerge. Historians, artists, and pagans piece together what the flames tried to erase. It's not about restoring a dead religion, it's about remembering who we were and what still lives beneath the surface. Part 12. Why it was suppressed. But why was it all erased so thoroughly? Because identity is power. The Slavic gods represented freedom, nature, and ancestral law, a direct threat to imperial rule and centralized religion. By erasing the myths, conquerors erased memory. But myths are stubborn. They survive in lullabies, embroidery, and the rhythm of the land. Part 13. Modern echoes. Even today, Slavic myth echoes in art, fantasy, games, and memes. From The Witcher to Hellblade, from black metal to folk festivals, the gods return. Maybe not as deities, but as symbols of something older than language, the soul of a forgotten world. Part 14. The War on Memory. When people speak of mythology, they often think of stories, simple tales of gods and monsters, meant to entertain or explain. But mythology is far more than that. It is identity. It is the spiritual architecture of a people. And when conquerors seek to erase a culture, they begin not with weapons, but with memory. The Slavic world, vast, untamed, uncentralized, was difficult to dominate. There were no great temples to destroy, no papyrus texts to burn. So the war was fought in silence. Children were taught that their ancestors were primitive, that their forest gods were evil, that their rituals were savage, their songs meaningless. In the span of generations, the myths slipped beneath the surface, but they did not die. Because myth is not stone or ink. It is blood. It is wind. It is the feeling you get standing at the edge of an ancient forest, the knowing that something beyond the veil is watching. You can suppress a people's memory, but it will return, in dreams, in fire, in stories whispered again. Part 15. The Responsibility of Remembering. We live in a time of forgetting. Algorithms replace elders. Content floods over culture. In a world like this, to remember, truly remember, is a form of rebellion. To speak the name of Perun, to tell the story of the world tree, to light a candle for the old gods, even if just in thought, is to connect across 1,000 years of silence. You don't have to believe the myths were literal. You don't have to become a pagan. But by learning them, honoring them, sharing them, you reclaim a stolen thread in the great tapestry of your people. Mythology isn't just about the past. It's a mirror. It asks us, who are you without your ancestors? Who are you without story? And if you feel something stir inside you, when you hear the name Veles or see a storm and think of Perun's axe, that's not fantasy. That's memory awakening. And maybe, just maybe, the gods are listening too. Final part. The silence ends. For centuries, the forest was quiet. The gods were shadows. The myths forgotten. But not anymore. The Slavs existed. Their gods existed. And now, they speak again.